Okay, so continuing from where we were, as you can see on the diagram, loop A is such that from the end, from where loop A starts to the other end, there is 10 centimeters there. And then loop B, which is on the other spring here, loop B is adjusted as you shall read the instructions on how we should adjust this one. So for now, I'm just putting it so that it is appearing as they want us to make it. Otherwise, we shall continue as we go. So let me read the instructions of how we are connecting it. Two string loops A and B are supporting the rule. Loop A should be placed 10 centimeters from one end of the rule. The distance between the end of the rule and loop B is X. I think you can see X. Move loop B until X is approximately 75 centimeters. So that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to move loop B, and loop B is on this side until X is approximately 75 centimeters. If you can check on the rule, that's where it is approximately 75 centimeters there. Measure and record X. So you have to measure and record X, as you can see there on your camera. You can see the value of X there. Okay, next. Without changing the positions of the string loops, adjust the apparatus until the rule is parallel to the bench. So we want to make sure that the rule is parallel to the bench. I think I can say that this is parallel to the bench, number one. And the springs and the string loops are vertical. So the springs, these ones, and the string loops have to be vertical. I believe that in this case they are vertical. The extended length of a single spring is L1. So the extended length of this single spring here is L1. And the extended length of the connected springs is L2. This one here is L2. Measure and record L1 and L2. So I'll tell you the readings that I get when I measure and record L1 and when I measure and record L2. So my L1 is 11.1. My L2 is about 17.9. Yeah, 17.9. Okay, so record that one. It's in centimeters. Okay, so the next thing. Calculate E1 and E2. That's for you. Then we are on part C now. Vary X by changing the position of loop B. Loop B must remain on the right hand side of the masses. So these are the right hand side of the masses from where I'm standing. Of course, from where you're watching the video, this is the left hand side, but for me, this is the right hand side of the masses. So loop B, this one, must remain on the right hand side of the masses. Keep loop A in the same position. So this loop is supposed to remain in the same position. For each value of X, adjust the apparatus until the rule is parallel to the bench. So we are going to change here. After we change, what do? We adjust the apparatus until the rule is parallel again to the bench, and the springs and the string loops are vertical. Measure X, measure L1 and L2. Repeat until you have 5 sets of values. So we are going to repeat this experiment until we have 5 sets of values. Values for who? For X, for L1, for L2. So on the board, I'm going to write that one, so not to be mistaken. L1, L2, and L and X. So firstly, since I'm having to start from the right hand side of this meter row until I reach this other end, my values of X start from here to the other end, meaning that I have to consider the full range. Now to consider the full range, I must first of all move this one as close as here. So as you can see, this is no longer parallel to the bench. So what do we do when it is like this? Do we remove it here? I've moved it as far close to this part as possible so that I can use the full range. No, the question told us that we have to adjust the apparatus so that it can be horizontal in that case. So here I'm adjusting the apparatus so that the ruler can be horizontal. So follow instructions of the paper. That's what you're supposed to do. And also to make sure that this is vertical, but it's not exactly horizontal, the ruler. So I have to adjust again on this side so that it will be horizontal. I think I'm now almost there where it is horizontal. I've adjusted it and it's on X. My X is approximately, remember you need approximate values. You can never have the exact value. So my X is 53.2 in this case, 53.2. Then now I need to measure L1 and L2. Remember L1 is from here. So L1 in this case is a 15 approximate. No, it's actually 14.9, I think. Okay, 14.9. Then L2 is L2 is 10.8. L2 is 10.8. Then we have to be quick about it, of course, because you'll be in the practical. So you have to move again. This time around, I'll move, let's say, to 59, because I need to have 5 sets of readings, remember? So if I move it like this, you see again, it's no longer parallel. The ruler is no longer parallel to the bench. So I need to adjust again. So probably in this case, I will lower this side again a bit, so that this can be parallel to the bench. I need to make sure that it's not oscillating. There's something about that. I think something like this. Okay, so I will lower it again so that it is parallel to the bench. Yeah, something like that. So having lowered it to be parallel to the bench like that. Okay, so I'll measure again. My value right now is now 59. So I have now a length of 59. And also, of course, you have tried 59.0, but I didn't want to tell you that one. You have to do it on your own. So now I'll measure again L1. L1 in this case, it's 13.7, I think. 13.7. And then L2 is about 13.1. Okay, so next I'm adjusting again. This time around, since I've already used the 75, I need to maybe to move faster here. I need to move it a little bit more because 75 has been used. I'll take that 75 as one of the readings. So this time around, I'm going to use, because meaning that now I have already 3 sets of readings, because they never said I cannot use the other values. So I need to use the entire range. So I'm going to use the 86 this time around. So to use 86 again, we have to adjust here. We have to adjust here again. We have to make sure that it's not oscillating as it was doing. We have to adjust it. This one is to remain in the same position. And we have to make sure that the springs and the string loops are vertical. I think it's approximately horizontal. You can never make it perfect and you'll be rushing against time. So again now I have 86 this time around. 86. I'm going to measure L1 this time around. My L1 is 8.5. Okay. Then I'm going to measure my L2 here. L2 is 19. L2 is 19. I'm leaving my results with some errors so that you will correct them when you're doing the experiment, when you are analyzing the results. Then I'll continue. This time around, I'm going to look for the last result now. I'll put it as far as I can. Maybe I think, remember we were told that we can adjust the apparatus as far as we can. So as you can see, I've been moving the stands, I've been moving the balls, I've been moving everyone to make sure that I can get the readings that I want, and I must make sure that this is vertical. So I think to make it vertical, it has to be like this. You have to stop it from oscillating. It will be like that. So then this becomes something like this. I think now this is perfect. This is at 98. I intentionally put it at 98. So we have 75 as the reading. So I didn't repeat 75. You need to remember 75. We did it for the first time. When we put it at 75, we measured L1 and we measured L2. So this will be the 50th set of reading that we must use in this table. So in this case, when this is 98, my L1 will be approximately 9.1. 9.5. 9.5. Okay, I will have to check again for the previous value when it was 86, because the values here are not following a trend, but here is 21, which makes sense. So I'm just going to have to repeat this one again. When date is 86, as you can see, this is something that you should always do when you're doing the practical. You should always check that there's a trend that is being followed. Here, a trend has been broken. All along, when these values were increasing, these ones were decreasing. But here, as you can see, this one increased from this to this. While these ones are increasing, which is fine, the trend is fine. This trend is not a descendable trend, so we have to fix that trend. We have to see maybe there's an error when I measured when there was 86 here. Let us see what possible error could have been made. So I'll make it vertical again, horizontal again. So I'll make it horizontal again. I want to see whether there was actually an error or the error was made when I put it at 98 there. Okay, so this one was supposed to be actually 11, around 11. So this was supposed to be 11. So as you can see, there had been an error that had been made. So we have finished this question.